The Galactic Council chamber floated in the void like a massive crystal, reflecting the light of 1,000 distant stars. Inside, representatives from more than 300 species gathered in the vast circular assembly hall. The air hummed constantly with translation devices working overtime, converting countless alien languages into something every species could understand. Ambassador Elena Vasquez stood at the human podium, her hands gripping the edges of the cold metal stand. She had been Earth's voice in this chamber for 23 years. During that time, her hair had slowly turned from deep black to silver. The stress of representing humanity to a galaxy that barely respected them had aged her far faster than the years alone ever could. But today would be different. Today, she would make them listen. Honored council members, Elena began, her voice steady despite the anger burning inside her chest. I come before you with evidence of systematic genocide. A quiet ripple spread through the chamber. The Craft Dominion has attacked 17 worlds in the past 2 years. They claim these attacks were accidents or misunderstandings. She paused. They were not. With a simple gesture, Elena activated the holographic display above the assembly floor. Instantly, images filled the air. Burning cities, collapsed habitats, dead families scattered across ruined streets, children who would never grow up. The representatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Some looked away. Others whispered quietly to their aides. A few watched in silence, their expressions impossible to read. 1 week ago, Elena continued, the Krath attacked Neutra. It is a farming colony. No weapons. No military bases. Just families growing food to feed the outer colonies. Her voice cracked slightly, but she forced herself to continue. They killed 137 people. The chamber remained silent. The craft commander claimed their navigation system malfunctioned. She turned back toward the holographic display. That is a lie. More data appeared in the air: flight paths, intercepted communications, tactical analysis, and sensor logs. Every piece of information pointed to the same conclusion. The attack had been deliberate. The craft are testing the Council's resolve, Elena said firmly. They want to see how much they can take before anyone stops them. She scanned the chamber, making eye contact with as many delegates as possible. I'm asking you, pleading with you, to take action. Invoke the emergency protocols. Send peacekeepers. Do something before more innocent people die. The chamber fell into an uncomfortable silence. Elena looked around at the alien faces staring back at her. Some showed pity. Others showed mild annoyance. Most showed nothing at all. Then the craft representative slowly rose from his seat. His name was Scarth, a massive reptilian creature whose scales gleamed under the chamber lights. When he smiled, rows of razor-sharp teeth became visible. The human ambassador grows emotional, Scarth said calmly, his deep voice rumbling across the hall. Understandable for such a young species. But emotions tend to cloud judgment. A few representatives chuckled quietly. Our investigation clearly shows a systems malfunction, Scarth continued. We have already paid reparations to the families involved. The matter is closed. Reparations. Elena snapped before she could stop herself. Her voice echoed through the chamber. You paid money and think that makes it acceptable? Those were people. Living, breathing people with families and dreams. Ambassador Vasquez, the council chairman interrupted. He was a tall, thin being from the Lumini species, elegant, calm, and terrifyingly logical. Please control yourself. Emotional outbursts are not productive. Elena slowly took a deep breath. She had played this political game for 2 decades. She knew the rules. Stay calm. Present facts. Be diplomatic. But today she realized something painful. The facts no longer mattered. The council had already made its decision. Then allow me to present this calmly, Elena said, forcing her voice to remain steady. The Craft Dominion is expanding through force. They are violating council law. If you do not act now, they will continue. She paused before adding quietly, and when they come for your worlds, when your people are the ones dying, who will speak for you? The chairman nodded slowly. Your concern is noted. We will now vote on whether to investigate further or to accept the Krath explanation and compensation. The chamber lights dimmed slightly as the voting display activated. Elena watched the numbers appear in real time. She was not surprised. The count climbed rapidly in favor of accepting the Kraft version of events. The Krath had allies. They had made deals, promises, and quiet threats. They possessed political power that humanity simply did not. The final result appeared above the chamber floor. 247 votes to accept. 53 votes to investigate. The decision was not even close. Humanity's voice meant nothing here. Elena stood in silence for a moment. She thought about all the warnings she had given over the years, every speech, every report, every desperate attempt to make them understand. She had told them many times that humanity was not weak, that humans were choosing to follow the rules, that they were holding back their true capabilities because they believed in peace. But no one had believed her. To the rest of the galaxy, humans were clever engineers and skilled negotiators. Good at trade. Good at diplomacy. But militarily, they were seen as soft. Weak. A species that talked big but could never back it up. Elena slowly straightened her posture. Very well, she said quietly. The council has spoken. She looked around the chamber one last time, her silver hair glowing faintly under the alien lights. I want every member here to remember this moment. Because history, she knew, was about to change. Remember this moment, Elena continued quietly. Remember that humanity came to you with open hands. We followed your rules. We asked for your help. We warned you what we were capable of if pushed too far. She turned her gaze directly toward Scarf. The Krath representative met her stare with clear amusement in his reptilian eyes, as if the warning meant nothing to him. You have made your choice, Elena said. Now you will see what humans are like when we stop asking for permission. Without another word, she closed her datapad and walked out of the chamber. Behind her, the council representatives erupted into conversation. Some laughed at what they considered a dramatic exit. Others debated whether humanity would actually dare to do anything at all. Most simply moved on to the next item on the agenda. Elena did not care. She had done everything diplomacy allowed. She had tried negotiation, evidence, warnings, and patience. Now it was time for someone else to do their job. She walked through the curved corridors of the council station until she reached the human embassy wing. Waiting outside her office was her aide, a young man named David Chen. It didn't go well, David said. It was not a question. No, Elena replied calmly. She paused for a moment before giving the order she had hoped never to speak. Initiate Protocol Omega. David froze. Recall all ambassadors. Contact Earth Defense Command. Tell General Chen the restrictions are lifted. David's face went pale. Are you certain? Once we start this. I am certain, Elena interrupted firmly. Get it done. David nodded and hurried away. Elena stepped into her office and sat behind her desk. For a moment, she simply stared at the communication terminal in front of her. Then she entered a code. A code she had prayed would never be used. The message would reach every human colony, every military outpost, every ship, and every hidden installation across human space. When the terminal confirmed the connection, she began typing. The message was short. Protocols revoked. Full authorization granted. Defend ourselves. Defend our allies. Show them what we are. She pressed send. Across human space, the message spread like a shockwave. There would be no turning back now. On Earth, deep beneath the mountains of Colorado, an underground command facility came to life. General Marcus Chen stood in the center of the command room, surrounded by massive displays showing fleet positions, supply networks, and tactical projections. The facility had been built 50 years earlier when humanity first joined the Galactic Council. Back then, it had been labeled a precaution. In truth, it had always been a contingency for this exact moment. Chen was 63 years old. He had fought in the last Great War before Earth unified under single government. He knew what humanity was capable of when it stopped pretending to be peaceful. He had hoped never to see that side of humanity again. A communications officer suddenly spoke. "General, we have a priority Omega message from Ambassador Vasquez." Chen closed his eyes for a moment. Then he opened them. "Display it." The message appeared on the main screen. He read it once, then again. Finally, he turned to his officers. "Open the sealed orders." A wave of movement filled the room. "Contact all fleet commanders. Activate the reserve fleets." He paused. "It's time." The officers moved quickly. They had trained for this scenario for decades. They had hoped it would never happen. But they were ready. Deep beneath Earth's oceans, massive submarine carriers received the signal. Hidden launch bays opened silently as warships began rising toward the surface. Ships that officially did not exist under Council regulations. On the Moon, inside enormous mining facilities, entire fleets powered up for the first time in years. The hangar doors opened. Massive dreadnoughts emerged, ships 3 times larger than anything humanity had ever officially registered with the Council. On Mars, on asteroid bases, on distant colonies scattered across human space, the same scene unfolded. Weapons systems long considered banned technology were loaded and activated. Soldiers who had been listed as ordinary colonists put on combat armor and picked up rifles. Pilots climbed into strike craft capable of flying circles around anything the Council had ever seen. In orbit above Earth, a communications station transmitted a final message to the Galactic Council. The message was simple. You were warned. The craft Dominion received reports of unusual human activity within hours. Commander Scarth, still celebrating his victory in the Council chamber, laughed when he heard the news. "Let them posture," he said confidently. "Humans are merchants and engineers, not warriors. If they wish to throw a tantrum, we will remind them of their place." He ordered 3 fleets to the human border. 47 warships in total. More than enough to crush whatever the humans dared to send. The fleet commander assigned to the mission, a veteran named Thrak, was less confident. During his career, he had studied humans carefully. Something about them always made him uneasy. The way they approached problems. The way they adapted. The way they learned frighteningly fast. But orders were orders. Thrak positioned his fleet near the human border and waited. He did not wait long. "Contact," the sensor officer called out. Multiple human vessels entering the sector. "Numbers?" Thrak asked. 5 ships. 1 large vessel and 4 smaller carriers. Thrak relaxed slightly. 5 ships, against 47. This would be over quickly. "Open a channel," he ordered. "Let me speak with their commander." The view screen activated. A human appeared. He was older, with grey hair and hardened eyes. His uniform was simple and functional, built for war rather than ceremony. "I am General Marcus Chen of the Earth Defense Force," the human said calmly. "You are ordered to withdraw from this sector immediately." Thrak bared his teeth in a predatory grin. "I am Commander Thrak of the craft Dominion. You are outnumbered and outgunned. Surrender your ships and we may allow you to live." Chen's expression did not change. "You had your chance to surrender, Commander. That opportunity has expired." The channel closed. Thrak stared at the blank screen for a moment before laughing. Human arrogance is impressive. He turned to his crew. "All ships, attack formation. Disable their vessels, but try to capture them intact. The Council will want to see what rules the humans have been breaking." The Krath fleet moved forward, surrounding the 5 human ships. Standard craft doctrine called for overwhelming force at medium range. Energy weapons would disable shields and engines. Then boarding parties would secure the ships. The human vessels did not retreat. Instead, they accelerated directly toward the Krath formation. "They are either very brave or very stupid," Thrak muttered. His weapons officer opened fire. 47 warships unleashed a storm of energy beams. Brilliant lances of light slammed directly into the approaching human ships. And the human ships kept coming. "Report," Thrak demanded. "Their shields are holding." A pause. "No, wait." They are not using shields. What? Our scans show layered armor. The armor is absorbing the energy. That is impossible. Increase power. The Krath fleet poured even more energy into the attack. The human ships glowed red-hot under the bombardment. Their hulls should have melted instantly. Instead, the outer armor layers burned away, revealing new armor beneath. The heat spread across the hull in precise patterns, as if designed to redirect the damage. Then the human ships opened fire. The sound of railguns cannot travel through space, but their effect was unmistakable. Tungsten slugs the size of small vehicles launched at 3% of light speed. They crossed the distance between the fleets in seconds. The first Krath ship exploded instantly. The slug passed through its shields as if they did not exist, punched straight through the hull, and tore out the other side. The kinetic energy ripped the vessel apart. Then the missiles launched. Thousands of them, each smaller than a person, each moving at impossible speeds, and each thinking for itself. The Craft point defense systems opened fire immediately. Hundreds of incoming missiles were destroyed in flashes of light, but thousands more slipped through the defensive net. Then the Craft ships began to die. Not disabled, not damaged, destroyed. Reactors breached, hulls torn open, entire sections ripped away as crews were violently exposed to the vacuum of space. Evasive maneuvers. Thrak shouted across the bridge. Reform the line. Focus all fire. But the situation was already spiraling out of control. The human carriers had launched their strike craft. Small, 1- and 2-pilot vessels streaked across the battlefield with impossible agility. They weaved through the craft formation like predators in a school of fish, firing precise bursts at weapon systems, engines, and sensor arrays. Thrak watched in growing horror as ship after ship in his fleet lost maneuverability. These were not the limited vessels humanity was supposed to possess. This was not the cautious, defensive posture they had shown to the Council for decades. This was something else entirely. This was war. Real war. Human war. And the Craft Dominion had no idea how to fight it. The battle lasted 4 hours and 17 minutes. When it finally ended, 43 Craft warships had been completely destroyed. 4 more were crippled and captured. The human fleet had taken damage to 2 ships, but both remained fully operational. Not a single human casualty had been reported. Commander Thrak stood on the bridge of his flagship, which now drifted powerless through space. Human boarding pods had attached themselves to the hull. Through the bulkheads, he could hear the sound of cutting torches slicing through the armored blast doors. His crew looked toward him, waiting for orders. But what orders could he possibly give? A thunderous explosion rocked the bridge as the door was breached. Smoke filled the command center. Through the haze, armored figures emerged. They were shorter than Craft warriors, but their combat armor made them appear massive and unstoppable. Every soldier carried weapons that looked brutally practical. No decoration, no ceremonial markings. Just tools designed for war. One of the humans stepped forward and removed her helmet. She was a woman with short dark hair and a thin scar running across her cheek. Her eyes were cold, calm, and completely professional. "Commander Thrak," she said in perfect Craft language. "You are now a prisoner of war. Order your crew to stand down." For a moment, Thrak's pride battled his survival instinct. Pride lost. Slowly, he gave the order. His crew laid down their weapons. The humans moved through the ship with disturbing efficiency. They seemed to know exactly where everything was: the bridge, engineering sections, weapon systems, crew quarters. They had clearly studied Craft ship designs down to the smallest detail. Aboard the human flagship HMS Wellington, General Marcus Chen watched the tactical display update. All enemy ships neutralized. All objectives achieved. Chen allowed himself a small smile. It had been a long time since he had commanded in real combat. But the old skills had not faded. "Open a broad transmission channel," he ordered. "All frequencies." His communications officer nodded. "Channel open, sir." Chen looked directly into the camera. He knew this message would reach the Galactic Council within hours. He wanted them to hear it clearly. This is General Marcus Chen of the Earth Defense Force. Today, the craft Dominion attacked our vessels and were defeated. This was not a war. This was a border skirmish, a demonstration of capability. He paused before continuing. The Krath attacked our civilians at New Terra without provocation. Humanity will respond proportionally. That means we are coming for your world, Krath. Not your civilians. Your military. Your leadership. The ones who gave the orders. The bridge fell completely silent. You have 1 week to evacuate all non-combatants from your homeworld. After that, we are coming. The channel closed. Chen turned to his executive officer, Commander Rodriguez, a younger officer who had been practically vibrating with nervous energy throughout the battle. Get me a casualty report from the captured ships, Chen said calmly. I want to know how many craft died and how many survived. Rodriguez nodded. And treat the prisoners according to the Geneva Conventions, Chen added. They are soldiers who followed orders, not war criminals. Rodriguez hesitated. Sir, the Krath do not have anything like the Geneva Conventions. Chen shrugged slightly. We do, he said. And that matters. 6 hours later, the battle data reached the Galactic Council station. At first, the reports were dismissed as impossible. Energy signatures of that magnitude could not come from human ships. Kinetic weapons moving at those speeds should not be possible for a species at humanity's supposed technological level. Then the visual recordings arrived. Council intelligence analysts watched the battle footage in stunned silence. They ran it through verification protocols. They checked for data tampering, simulation artifacts, and digital manipulation. Everything came back the same. The footage was real. Chairman Kellis of the Lumini watched the recording privately in his office. He replayed the moment when the first craft warship exploded. Over and over. The tungsten slug had been visible for only a fraction of a second before impact. The craft shields had done nothing. He opened humanity's official military registry. 300 defensive corvettes. 20 patrol cruisers. No dreadnoughts. No carriers. No weapons exceeding Class 4 energy output. Then he compared it to what the footage showed. Ships 3 times larger than anything registered. Weapons powerful enough to make Class 4 energy cannons look like toys. Battle tactics that suggested centuries of military doctrine refined through brutal experience. Ambassador Vasquez had been telling the truth. Humanity had been holding back. Massively. Chairman Kellis made a decision. He contacted the Valerian Empire, the Council's primary military power. If humanity was becoming a threat, it needed to be contained quickly, before more of these hidden fleets appeared. The Valerian Emperor Thalaris received the message in his throne room. He was over 400 years old and had commanded fleets during the last 3 galactic wars. Few beings in the galaxy understood warfare better than he did. He watched the battle footage carefully. Not with fear. Valorans did not fear. But with concern. Analysis. He summoned his chief military advisor, Admiral Calaith. Calaith was younger, barely 200 years old, but widely considered one of the greatest tactical minds in the Empire. He studied the footage silently for several minutes before speaking. The humans fight unlike any species I have studied, Calaith said slowly. They close to engagement ranges we would consider suicidal. Their armor philosophy is layered and reactive rather than shield-based. Their primary weapons are kinetic instead of energy-based. He paused the footage at the moment a human railgun round destroyed a warship. And their strategy. Calaith leaned back thoughtfully. Suggests they have been preparing for this war for a very long time. The tactics continued to unfold on the battlefield. They fight as if they've done this before, Thalaris said slowly. Many times. Against many different opponents. They anticipated every maneuver. They exploited every weakness in Krath doctrine. He paused before adding quietly, this wasn't luck. This was practiced. The Emperor leaned forward on his throne. Can we defeat them? He asked bluntly. Cathet hesitated for a moment before answering. Unknown, my Emperor. We would need more data. But I would advise caution. A species does not develop these capabilities overnight. They have been preparing for war for a very long time. He looked at the tactical display, where the destroyed fleet markers still burned red. The real question is, how long have they been preparing? And what else have they been hiding? On Earth, news of the battle spread across the planet within hours. Reactions were mixed. In some cities, crowds gathered in the streets to celebrate. Humanity had finally shown the galaxy what it was capable of. They had defended themselves. They had fought back and won. But in other cities, protests erupted. Peace activists argued that humanity had abandoned the moral high ground. That humans had become the very thing they once claimed to oppose. That violence, even in self-defense, was not the answer. To address the growing debate, General Chen appeared on a global broadcast. He stood in full uniform, medals from Earth's last major war displayed across his chest. Behind him was a massive wall of names, the victims of the New Terror massacre. "I understand the concerns about what we have done," Chen began calmly. "Many of you are asking if we have become monsters, if we have abandoned our principles." He gestured toward the names behind him. These people did not choose to be part of a conflict. They were farmers, teachers, children. His voice hardened. They were killed because someone decided their lives did not matter. Chen looked directly into the camera. "We asked the Galactic Council for justice. We were denied. So we took action." He paused for a moment. "Some say violence is never the answer. I wish that were true. I have spent my entire life studying violence. I have seen what it does to people, to societies, to civilizations. I do not glorify it. I do not enjoy it. But I will not stand by while innocent people die and their killers face no consequences." He allowed the silence to settle before finishing. "We are not attacking civilians. We are not committing genocide. We are holding accountable those who ordered the deaths of our people. That is not the same thing as what the Krath did to New Terror. Never forget that distinction." The broadcast ended, but public opinion remained divided. The military mobilization, however, continued without hesitation. On Mars, inside a massive facility carved into the side of Olympus Mons, production lines roared back to life. For decades, the shipyards had built civilian vessels while secretly maintaining humanity's hidden military stockpile. Now the entire complex worked at maximum capacity. Dr. Sarah Kim, head of the Weapons Development Program, supervised the activation of systems that had existed only in simulations. Railgun platforms were functioning perfectly. Missile swarms were outperforming projections. Strike craft exceeded every expectation. But as casualty reports from the battle arrived, Sarah felt sick. She had designed many of those weapons. Her equations had calculated the most effective impact angles for maximum damage. Her simulations had predicted exactly how Krath armor would fail under kinetic strikes. She had built tools for killing. And now people were dying because of her work. Her assistant, a young engineer named Marcus, noticed her troubled expression. "Dr. Kim, are you all right?" Sarah shook her head slowly. "I created weapons of war, Marcus. I always thought it was theoretical. Something we would never actually use. But now we are using them. People are dying." Marcus thought carefully before replying. "My grandfather was on New Terror," he said quietly. "He was one of the ones who didn't make it." Sarah looked at him. "Would you prefer we had nothing to defend ourselves with?" For a moment, Sarah had no answer. In the Krath capital city of Krathnos, Emperor Varks received the news of the fleet's destruction with cold fury. Even by Krath standards, he was enormous, nearly 3 meters tall, his ancient scales darkened almost black with age. "Impossible," he hissed. "Humans are weak. They are merchants and engineers, not warriors." Standing before him was General Scar, one of the few survivors of the battle. He had been captured and later released with Chen's warning. Scar looked very different now. The arrogance that once defined him had vanished. In its place was something close to fear. "They are warriors, my emperor," Scar said quietly. "Perhaps the most dangerous warriors in the galaxy." We attacked them as if they were prey. We were wrong. Coward! Varksh roared. You lost one battle and now you tremble before them. Scar did not raise his voice. I lost 43 ships in 4 hours, he said. Against 5 of theirs. The room fell silent. They knew our tactics better than we did. They exploited every weakness. And they did it casually, as if it were routine. Varksh growled. Then we will send more ships. We will crush them with numbers. Scar looked at the Emperor with something close to pity. They gave us 1 week to evacuate Krathnos, he said. They are coming. Not to invade. To punish. Varksh laughed coldly. Our orbital defenses have never been breached. 300 defense platforms. 15 battle stations. 400 warships. They would need 10 times their current fleet to threaten us. Scar answered carefully. My Emperor, what if they have 10 times the force? What if everything we have seen so far is only the beginning? For the first time, doubt flickered in the ancient Emperor's mind. Meanwhile, on the Galactic Council station, Ambassador Elena Vasquez prepared to leave. She had submitted her formal resignation. Humanity would no longer participate in an organization that protected war criminals. Before departing, she held one final press conference. Reporters from over 300 species crowded the briefing chamber. Questions were shouted from every direction. Is humanity declaring war on the entire galaxy? What about the Valoran Empire? Are humans preparing for a full-scale conflict? Elena raised her hand. The room fell silent. Humanity is not at war with the galaxy, she said clearly. We are at war with those who harm innocents and face no consequences. The Krath attacked our civilians. The Council did nothing. So we acted. That is not aggression. That is justice. A reporter shouted another question. What about the Valoran Empire? They are mobilizing against you. Elena did not hesitate. Then they will learn the same lesson the Krath learned. We do not want to fight them. We would prefer peace. But if they come for us... Her voice hardened. We will defend ourselves. And we will win. Another reporter asked, how can you be so certain? Elena gave a grim smile. Because we have been practicing for 10,000 years. Humans fought each other for millennia before we unified. We know every dirty trick, every tactical doctrine, every strategic principle. We stopped fighting because we chose to. Not because we forgot how. The galaxy is about to learn the difference. She left the podium as reporters erupted into chaos. Her message had been delivered. Deep in space, far beyond the sensors of any Council world, the human reserve fleet waited. 300 warships, dreadnoughts, carriers, advanced strike vessels built secretly over 5 decades, crews trained in hidden facilities, weapons that the Council had never even imagined. They waited for the order that everyone knew was coming. The galaxy was about to learn what humanity had been warning them about for 50 years. They were about to discover what happened when humans stopped holding back. A week later, the human fleet arrived at Krathnos. General Chen had kept his promise. Civilians had been given 7 days to evacuate. Some had fled. Many had stayed, either out of pride or disbelief that humans would dare attack their homeworld. Deep beneath the planet's surface, Emperor Varksh stood in his command center. Massive displays showed the orbital defense grid. 300 automated defense platforms. 15 colossal battle stations. 400 warships. The remaining pride of the Krath fleet. How many human ships? Varksh demanded. 73, the sensor officer replied. A mix of dreadnoughts, carriers, and support vessels. Varksh laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. 73 ships against more than 700 defensive assets. They are insane. But General Scar remained silent. He had seen what just 5 human ships could do. 73 was not a small fleet. It was a warning. The human fleet stopped at maximum weapons range. They did not advance. They did not fire. Instead, A message appeared on every screen across Krath space. General Chen. People of Krathnos, he began. Your emperor ordered an attack on our civilian colony. Innocent people died without cause. We asked for justice. We were denied. So we have come to deliver it ourselves. We do not wish to harm civilians. You were given time to evacuate. But understand this clearly. We are not here to invade. We are not here to conquer. We are here to hold accountable those responsible for the deaths of our people. Your orbital defenses will fall. Your military will be broken. And your leaders will face justice. The message ended. Silence filled the command center. Then Vaksh roared. All stations, open fire. The orbital defense grid erupted. Energy beams powerful enough to shatter asteroids struck the human fleet. Battle stations unleashed enough firepower to glass continents. But the human ships did not move. They did not retreat. They endured. Outer armor layers glowed white-hot as ablative plates burned away. Reactive armor absorbed massive impacts. The ships had been built specifically to survive this kind of bombardment. And while the Krath weapons fired, the humans launched their counterattack. Thousands of drones poured from the carriers. Small, fast, disposable. Each carried a fusion warhead. They were not sophisticated weapons. They did not need to be. There were simply too many. Krath point defense systems destroyed hundreds. But thousands more slipped through. They didn't attack the stations directly. Instead, they targeted shield generators, power relays, sensor arrays, every critical component holding the defense network together. Explosions rippled across orbit. Small blasts turned into massive chain reactions as reactors overloaded. Then the human dreadnoughts opened fire. Railguns launched tungsten slugs at impossible speeds. Each impact struck with the force of a small nuclear weapon. Defense platforms vanished instantly when the rounds connected. Battle stations lasted longer. But not much longer. The humans had learned from previous battles. They didn't waste ammunition on shields. Instead, they targeted weak points, precise gaps in the shield geometry where overlapping fields left microscopic openings. It was surgical, precise, brutal. General Scar watched the tactical display in horror. The defense network wasn't collapsing slowly. It was being dismantled. Systematically. How? He whispered. How do they know our systems so well? An intelligence officer answered, his face pale. Sir, we are detecting massive cyber warfare intrusions. The humans are inside our networks. For how long? Scar demanded. The officer swallowed. Years. They have maps of every system, every defense position, every weakness. Scar felt cold realization settle in. Humans hadn't just been building weapons. They had been studying every potential enemy, preparing for the day diplomacy failed. 6 hours after the battle began, the orbital defense network was shattered. Broken platforms drifted through space. Battle stations burned as escape pods fled. Human forces ignored them. Warships that fought were destroyed. Those that retreated were allowed to escape. The message was simple. Fight and die. Run and live. Then the final phase began. Human dropships descended through the atmosphere. Not randomly. They landed on command centers, weapons factories, government bunkers. Every location that mattered. Hundreds of human marines deployed. Not thousands. Just hundreds. But each soldier was worth dozens of conventional troops. Their powered armor enhanced their strength and speed. Their weapons were built for brutal close combat. Their training represented decades of simulated warfare. They moved through Krath defenses like a blade through paper. And for the first time in centuries, Krathnos was no longer safe. Inside the Imperial Palace, Emperor Vaksh finally understood the truth. The humans were not invading. They were hunting. And their target was him. They're coming for the government, one of his advisors said urgently. We must evacuate immediately. A shuttle is standing by. Vaksh nodded. Pride meant nothing if he was dead. He and his inner circle rushed through the palace corridors to the landing pad where the Imperial shuttle waited. The engines roared to life, and the craft launched hard toward orbit. For a moment, it seemed they might escape. Then a human strike craft appeared out of nowhere. A single missile streaked toward the shuttle. It didn't target the reactor. It didn't target the crew compartment. It hit the engines. The explosion crippled the shuttle but left the hull intact. The craft drifted helplessly through space, powerless and unable to flee. Seconds later, a tractor beam locked onto it, pulling the shuttle slowly toward a waiting human warship. Inside the drifting shuttle, Varksh felt a cold realization settle over him. The humans had never intended to let him escape. They wanted him alive. On the surface of Krathnos, human marines reached their objectives with minimal resistance. Most Krath soldiers surrendered once they realized the humans knew their positions better than they did. Every camera, every sensor, every communications channel, all of it had been hacked. There was nowhere to hide, no way to ambush them, no way to surprise them. Within hours, the remaining Krath leadership was gathered in the ruins of the Imperial Palace. Emperor Varksh, his generals, his advisors, everyone responsible for the attack on New Terra. General Chen arrived personally. He studied the captured leaders without anger in his eyes. Only cold determination. "You ordered an attack on civilians," Chen said calmly. "You killed innocent people. And when confronted, you claimed it was an accident." His voice hardened. "It wasn't an accident. You did it to test our resolve, to see if humanity would respond." Varksh hissed angrily. "You are savages. Barbarians." Chen interrupted him. "We gave you every chance to face justice peacefully. We warned you. We asked the galaxy to intervene. You chose this path." He stepped closer. "Now you walk it." The captured Krath leadership was transported off-world. Not to Earth. Not to a human prison. They were taken somewhere else. The ruins of New Terra. The transport ship landed in what had once been the colony's main settlement. Burned buildings still stood in silent rows. Black scorch marks covered the ground. Small memorials had been placed where people had died. The Krath prisoners were marched slowly through the destroyed settlement. Chen walked beside them. He pointed to specific locations. "This is where the Martinez family lived," he said. "Father, mother, 2 children. All killed when your ships bombed their home." He continued walking. This was the school. 23 children were inside when it was hit. A few of the prisoners lowered their heads. And this was the medical center. The doctors and nurses stayed behind to treat the wounded. They died trying to save others. Varksh tried to turn away. Chen grabbed his head and forced him to look. "No," Chen said firmly. "You ordered this. You will see what you did. Every life that ended here, that is your responsibility." By the end of the walk, several of the Krath officials were openly weeping. Varksh did not cry, but something in his eyes had changed. He had seen war from a command center before. He had never seen its consequences up close. The prisoners were eventually transported to the Galactic Criminal Court. It was a neutral institution created centuries earlier, though it had rarely been used. Representatives from dozens of species gathered to witness the trial. Not the powerful council species. The smaller civilizations. The oppressed ones. Species that had suffered under Krath aggression for generations. The evidence was overwhelming. Battle recordings. Intercepted communications. Testimony from captured Krath officers. The trial lasted 3 weeks. The verdict was never truly in doubt. Emperor Varksh and his inner circle were found guilty of war crimes. Their sentence was life imprisonment in a neutral facility guarded by peacekeepers from non-council species. It was not revenge. It was justice. And the entire galaxy watched. But while the trial unfolded, the Galactic Council faced a new crisis. The Valoran Empire had mobilized its fleet. 200 warships under Admiral Keltus had been ordered to intercept human forces and contain the threat. Keltus did not want this battle. He had studied the data from Krathnos. Human forces had destroyed more than 700 defensive assets in 6 hours with minimal losses. What could 200 ships accomplish against that? But orders were orders. The Valoran Empire never retreated from a challenge. Their honor demanded battle. The two fleets met in a region of space known as the Crimson Nebula. It was a vast cloud of ionized gas left behind by an ancient supernova. Sensors barely functioned there. Communications were unreliable. It was the perfect place for ambushes. Keltus deployed his fleet carefully. Standard Valoran formation. Ships positioned in mutually supporting lines with overlapping fields of fire. Centuries of doctrine had refined this formation. The human fleet was smaller. Just 50 ships. Keltus had the numerical advantage. He should have felt confident. He did not. The battle began with the Valorans advancing. They expected the humans to retreat or maneuver for advantage. Instead, the human ships dispersed into the nebula and vanished. Report. Keltus demanded. Unable to track them, Admiral, the sensor officer replied. The nebula interference is too strong. Keltus frowned. The interference was worse than expected, almost as if something was amplifying it. Then the attacks began. From everywhere, human strike craft burst out of the nebula, fired their weapons, and vanished again. Missiles came from impossible angles. Railgun rounds emerged from the gas clouds without warning. The Valorans tried to respond, but their sensors could not lock onto targets. They fired blindly, hitting nothing. Meanwhile, human cyber warfare teams infiltrated Valoran systems. False orders were broadcast. Phantom targets appeared on sensors. Entire squadrons chased enemies that didn't exist. Keltus realized the truth with growing dread. The humans had chosen this battlefield deliberately. They knew how to fight here. They had trained for it. And the Valorans had walked directly into their trap. This was not a battle. It was a massacre. After 4 hours, Keltus ordered a retreat. 27 ships had been destroyed. 15 more were crippled. The human fleet had only suffered damage to 3 ships. None destroyed. As the remaining Valoran ships withdrew, a communication appeared on Keltus's command screen. General Chen. Admiral Keltus, Chen said calmly. You are a good commander. Your tactics were sound. You followed Valoran doctrine perfectly. Keltus waited silently. That is why you lost, Chen continued. Your people fight with honor. My people fight to win. Honor gets you killed. Adaptation keeps you alive. Chen leaned forward slightly. I'm giving you a choice. Return to your empire and report what happened here. Tell them the truth. Keltus spoke quietly. You mock our honor. Chen shook his head. No, I respect it. But respect does not mean I will let it kill my people. Go home, Admiral. There is no shame in surviving to fight another day. Especially when that fight does not need to happen. The transmission ended. Keltus stared at the tactical display. His fleet was broken. His pride wounded. But his mind was clear. The humans were right. This war did not need to happen. And if it continued, Valoria would lose. In the Imperial Palace, Emperor Vaksh finally understood the truth of the situation. The humans were not invading. They were hunting. And their target was him. They're coming for the leadership, one of his advisors said urgently. We need to evacuate immediately. A shuttle is standing by. Vaksh nodded. Pride meant nothing to a dead emperor. Within minutes, he and his inner circle rushed toward the landing pad where an Imperial shuttle waited. The engines roared to life, and the craft blasted into the sky, accelerating toward orbit. For a brief moment, it seemed like they might actually escape. Then a human strike craft appeared out of nowhere. A single missile launched from its wing. But it did not target the shuttle's reactor or the passenger cabin. It targeted the engines. The explosion crippled the shuttle instantly. The hull remained intact, but the engines were gone. The craft drifted helplessly through space, unable to flee, unable to fight. A powerful tractor beam locked onto it, slowly pulling the disabled shuttle toward a human warship. Inside the shuttle, Emperor Vaksh felt a cold realization settle into his chest. The humans had never intended to let him escape. They wanted him alive. On the surface of the planet, human marines achieved their objectives with minimal resistance. Most Krath soldiers surrendered quickly once they realized the terrifying truth. The humans knew their positions better than they did. Every camera had been hacked. Every sensor had been compromised. Every communication channel was under human control. There was no hiding, no ambush, no surprise left. Soon, the captured Krath leadership was assembled in the ruined remains of the imperial palace. Emperor Vaksh, his generals, his advisors, every individual responsible for the attack on New Terra. General Marcus Chen arrived personally. He looked at the prisoners with no hatred in his eyes, only cold determination. "You ordered an attack on civilians," Chen said calmly. "You killed innocent people and called it an accident." Vaksh tried to speak, but Chen cut him off. "You did it to test us," Chen continued. "To see if humanity would respond. To see if you could take what you wanted without consequences." One of the Krath officers spat angrily. "You are savages," he said. Chen's voice remained steady. "We gave you every chance to face justice peacefully. We warned you. We asked the galaxy to intervene. You chose this path. Now you walk it." The prisoners were transported off-world. Not to Earth. Not to a human prison. They were taken to the ruins of New Terra. The human transport landed in what had once been the colony's main settlement. Burned buildings still stood like skeletons against the sky. Black scorch marks covered the streets. Small memorials marked the places where families had died. Chen personally walked the prisoners through the ruins. He stopped at one destroyed house. "The Martinez family lived here," he said quietly. "Father, mother, 2 children. All killed when your ships bombed their home." They continued walking. This was the school. 23 children were inside when the bombs fell. Another stop. This was the medical center. Doctors and nurses died trying to save their patients. Vaksh tried to look away. Chen grabbed his head and forced him to look. "No," Chen said quietly. "You ordered this. You will see what you did." By the end of the walk, several Krath officials were openly weeping. Vaksh did not cry, but something in his eyes had changed. He had commanded wars from far away. He had never truly seen their consequences. The prisoners were transferred to the Galactic Criminal Court, an ancient neutral institution rarely used. Representatives from dozens of species gathered to witness the trial. Not just the powerful council members, but the smaller civilizations. The oppressed ones. The species who had suffered under Krath aggression for centuries. The evidence was overwhelming. Battle recordings. Intercepted communications. Testimony from Krath officers. The trial lasted 3 weeks. The verdict was never in doubt. Emperor Vaksh and his entire inner circle were found guilty of war crimes. Their sentence: life imprisonment in a neutral facility guarded by international peacekeepers. It was not vengeance. It was justice. And the entire galaxy watched. But while the trial unfolded, another crisis was emerging. The Valoran Empire had deployed its fleet. 200 warships under the command of Admiral Keltus. Their mission: intercept human forces and contain the threat. Admiral Keltus studied the battle reports carefully. Humans had defeated 700 defensive assets in 6 hours. With minimal losses. What could 200 ships accomplish? But Valoran honor demanded they fight. Orders were orders. The 2 fleets met in a region known as the Crimson Nebula. A vast cloud of ionized gas left behind by an ancient supernova. Sensors struggled to function inside it. Communications were unreliable. Perfect conditions for ambush. Keltus deployed his ships in standard Valoran formation, mutually supporting positions with overlapping fields of fire. Tactics refined over thousands of years of warfare. Across the nebula waited the human fleet. Only 50 ships. Yet something about them made the Valoran crews uneasy. The battle began when the Valoran fleet advanced. Instead of retreating, the human ships dispersed into the nebula and vanished. "Report," Keltus demanded. "We can't track them, Admiral," an officer replied. "The nebula is interfering with our systems." Then the attacks began. From everywhere, human strike craft appeared out of the clouds, fired their weapons, and vanished again. Missiles arrived from impossible angles. Railgun rounds burst from the fog without warning. The Valoran fleet fired blindly, unable to lock onto targets. Meanwhile, human cyber warfare teams had infiltrated their networks. False orders spread across command channels. Fake sensor contacts appeared everywhere. Some ships even fired on friendly targets. Keltus realized with growing dread that the humans had chosen this battlefield deliberately. They had trained here. They knew how to fight inside the nebula. The Valorans were blind, confused, outmatched. After 4 brutal hours, Keltus gave the order to retreat. He had lost 27 ships. 15 more were crippled. The human fleet had lost none. As the surviving Valoran ships withdrew, a transmission arrived. General Chen appeared on Keltus's screen. "Admiral," Chen said calmly, "you are a good commander. Your tactics were sound. That is why you lost." Keltus waited silently. "Your people fight with honor," Chen continued. "My people fight to win. Honor gets you killed. Adaptation keeps you alive." Chen paused before continuing. "I'm offering you a choice. Return home and report the truth. Humanity does not want war with the Valoran Empire. But if you keep coming, we will keep winning. How many of your people must die before your leaders accept that?" Keltus said nothing. But deep down, he knew Chen was right.